There's a weird comfort in remembering the stuff that scared us as kids. Not horror movie scared, but like internet at 2 a.m. scared. That specific kind of fear where you're alone in your room, the screen is too bright, and you just clicked on something you probably shouldn't have. Gen Z didn't grow up with a safe internet, we grew up with a weird one. The one full of lost media, jump scares hidden in flash games, and stories that felt too real. So this is part 3 of my Disturbing Things from Gen Z Childhood series. Let's get into it. First, we're gonna talk about Woody and the Toys Almost Got Incinerated. This YouTube video shows one of the most emotional scenes in modern animation. Coming near the end of Toy Story 3, the video shows Woody, Buzz, and the other toys trapped in a garbage landfill. After a long journey to escape being thrown away, they find themselves on a conveyor belt heading straight toward a giant incinerator, a huge fire pit that burns trash. As the heat rises and all hope seems lost, the toys stop trying to escape. Instead, they look at each other, silently reach out and hold hands, preparing to face death together. This moment shocked many young viewers, like myself. Serious expressions and a feeling of finality are more common in movies for adults than in animated films for kids. It made many young viewers feel fear, sadness, and even confusion about life and death. The scene also carries deeper meanings. It represents not just the fear of dying, but also the fear of growing up and letting go. As Andy, their owner, prepares to leave for college, the toys must face the end of their time with him. I feel that this emotional scene reflects just how hard it can be to say goodbye to childhood and move on. At the last second, however, the toys are saved by the aliens using the giant claw, a moment that brings great relief. Still, the emotional weight of the scene stays with the audience. Personally, I had to watch this part so many times before I came to terms with it. And for many in Gen Z, this was one of their first times feeling real sadness during a cartoon. Now next, I'm going to talk about Slender Man. Slender Man is a tall, faceless figure in a black suit with long arms. It was created in 2009 during a Photoshop contest on the Something Awful forum. While it started as a spooky internet image, it quickly became one of the most popular online horror characters. For Gen Z, Slender Man was a huge part of their early internet experiences, especially through creepypasta stories, games, and scary YouTube videos. Like, who else remembers all those the Gmod Venturian Tale videos with the Slender Man mods? Is that just me? Slender Man's actual story is simple but scary. He stalks and watches children, sometimes leading them into forests or making them disappear completely. According to others, Slender Man can also cause you to have memory loss, exhibit strange behavior, and get paranoid. Because of the frightening stories associated with him, the Slender Man myth grew online, with many different creators adding to the legend. He appeared on YouTube series, horror games like Slender the 8 Pages, and fan art, making him a shared fear for many young internet users. If you ask any Gen Z, they'd tell you that Slender Man represents a key moment when the internet became truly scary. He showed up in Minecraft horror maps, Let's Play videos, and low-budget found footage clips that make him feel real. As a kid, you probably saw these online without knowing it would be scary. Like Marble Hornets, anyone? That was low-key before my time though, as an '06 baby myself. But what made his myth feel even more real was being connected to a real-life crime. In 2014, in Wisconsin, 2 12-year-old girls stabbed their friend, claiming they did it to please Slender Man. They lured Peyton Leutner into the woods in Waukesha and stabbed her 19 times, hoping the attack would make them proxies for Slender Man. Leutner miraculously survived after crawling to a bike path where a passerby called 911. Both girls, thank God, were charged as adults. One of them was sentenced to up to 25 years in a psychiatric facility and released in 2021 under strict conditions. The other, diagnosed with schizophrenia, was sentenced to 40 years in a mental institution. Though her 2024 release request was denied, she was finally granted conditional release in January 25 after showing progress. She now lives in a group home under supervision. This terrible event caused fear and debate across the country, with parents, schools, and news outlets starting a conversation on internet safety and how online stories could affect young people. Something surprising, though, happened after the incident. Some fans tried to reimagine Slender Man as a more complex character. sometimes showing him as a protector of abused or lonely children. This may have been an attempt to soften his image and distance the character from the violence linked to him. Alright, now I'm going to talk about Axe Dark Temptation. Back in 2008, the Unilever company managed to unsettle a whole generation of young viewers with three unlikely things: a body spray, human chocolate, and, well, wild women. Often referred to as Chocolate Man, the Axe Dark Temptation video was a popular ad that promoted the titular Axe Dark Temptation body spray. It starts harmlessly though. A young man sprays himself with Axe Dark Temptation in his bathroom while Sweet Touch of Love by Alan Toussaint plays in the background. Immediately after spraying himself, the young man transforms into a walking, smiling, and confident human chocolate. But if you think that's insane, the commercial gets even more surreal. As Chocolate Man goes about his day, women become irresistibly drawn to him. First, we see a woman revel in his fragrance, taking in a deep breath as a Chocolate Man passes nearby. Shortly after, Chocolate Man does something even stranger. He breaks his nose, crashes it on his hand, and then sprinkles it into these ice creams. And because these two women are under his charm, they proceed to devour their cold treats maniacally. The commercial then cuts to a park where a woman coats a strawberry with chocolate from the man's navel. At this point, you might think things can't get any weirder, but they do. In the next frame, Chocolate Man is at a movie theater with two women at his side. While all the women Chocolate Man has encountered so far have been extreme, these two take it up a notch. They lick and bite Chocolate Man like crazed zombies. Chocolate Man then wakes up at a hospital where he lightens up a female patient with his strange gift. From here, things keep the tempo going. Chocolate Man gets licked on the face on a dance floor, bit on the behind on a bus, and cheered by a group of females at a gym. But before Chocolate Man can even leave the girls to their workout, something even stranger happens. The women's aggressive pursuit and consumption of Chocolate Man was intended as an exaggerated, humorous metaphor for attraction. However, some viewers and authorities found the commercial to be indecent, vulgar, or repulsive due to its overtly sexual undertones and the depiction of women behaving in a frenzied, predatory manner. In India, for example, the government banned the ad, describing it as indecent, vulgar, and repulsive. Regardless, Dark Temptation went on to become the fourth most successful launch in Axe's 25-year history at the time. I mean, would it have worked on you, bro? Be real, be real. Alright, next up I'm going to talk about one that's pretty special to me personally from my own childhood. This is the Genocide route from Undertale. The Genocide route, also popularly known as the No Mercy route, is one of three primary paths players can take in Toby Fox's 2015 indie RPG, Undertale. The Genocide route is particularly infamous for three reasons. One, it is very difficult to conquer, especially compared to the other two routes. Two, it comes with permanent consequences on a player's future playthroughs. And finally, it leaves emotional impact on players that stays long after the game is over. To initiate the Genocide route in the game, a player must actively seek out and then unalive every single monster in the underground. You not only have to defeat the bosses, but also unalive every being, including innocent ones, in every region before you can progress to the next stage. If you choose to spare even one monster from an area before moving on or are forced to flee, then the route is broken and you can't progress. The route starts in what's called the Ruins, where you hunt for random encounters until you see the message, but nobody came. Then you can go to unalive the boss, Toriel. Then you can progress to Snowden, Waterfall, Hotland, and Core, and finally New Home, replicating that same massacre in each area. Each area has a specific quota of monsters that you must kill before you go forward. As you progress through each area, the atmosphere becomes increasingly bleak and unsettling. You'll encounter several deserted areas where monsters have fled or been evacuated before your arrival. Even the dialogue changes to reflect the fear and despair caused by your ruthless actions as the protagonist. And you're confronted with the realization that you are, in fact, the monster. Once you've unalived every single monster and their bosses, you must face the final boss, Flowey, and then the first fallen human, Kara, who then reveals themselves as the true force behind the violence. With that revelation, you're given the option to destroy the world, after which the game ends in a surreal sequence. Worse still, you never shake off the Genocide route even after you complete it. It remains a permanent feature on your save file, and even if you reset and start again, all future endings of the game will be altered to reflect the irreversible impact of your brutality. The only way to escape the horror is to manually delete your save data. Yeah, safe to say Genocide Root is one of those games that will irreversibly change you as a kid. At least it was for me, bro. That shit stuck with me. Next up, I'm talking about Scary Gummy Bear. You know something is really disturbing when it's removed from YouTube completely, just like this video. Often called Scary Gummy Bear, this video is actually titled Gummy with a Twist, and was uploaded by Fuyumaha on September 23rd, 2007. At first, the video seems cheerful and safe. It opens with the Hungarian version of the Gummy Bear song, showing the popular green gummy bear dancing and singing. But this lighthearted part lasts for about 24 seconds. It is actually designed to make you feel relaxed and comfortable before the video suddenly shifts in a major way. Without warning, and don't worry guys, I'm not going to jump scare you, the screen cuts to a hyper-realistic zombie face originally from the KEPKW Auto commercial screamer. This moment is paired with a loud, high-pitched scream and flashing visuals. The words, "now, go change your shorts and get back to work," appear on the screen. Granted, the scare lasts only a few seconds, but boy does it leave a strong impact, especially on unprepared children and adolescents. After the jump scare, the video ends immediately. There's no warning, explanation, or resolution. The video uses a classic bait and switch technique, starting off child-friendly and quickly turning terrifying. Due to strong criticism, the video was later removed from YouTube. Viewers accused the creator, Fuyumaha, of intentionally targeting young audiences. Many said that the sudden shift from innocent to horrifying was unfair and harmful, especially since it tricked children into watching a screamer. In response to the backlash, the creator deleted the video to avoid further complaints. The video had an odd like-to-dislike ratio of 76 to 69. 76 likes to 69 dislikes, which is an interesting combination of statistics considering it was uploaded in 2007. Before it was taken down, Gummy with a Twist had gathered over 253,000 views. Ironically, its removal only added to its lost media status, making it even more legendary in online horror discussions. Even today, people continue to talk about it as one of the most shocking early YouTube screamers. It's definitely a mix of innocent setup and sudden horror that left a lasting mark on a lot of Gen Z's online memories. Granny Kicks Baby. You'd never visit Grandma if you watched this one, and if you did, you'd not want to be around her by yourself, lest you wanted to get kicked so hard that you flew off. Let me explain. This infamous shock video was widely circulated during Gen Z's childhood, leaving them with an unsettling memory. It starts with a younger woman putting a toddler to the ground, leaving it seated and facing in front. Shortly after, the younger woman moves back and eventually out of frame. At this point, a new character, an elated granny, enters the scene, running toward the baby. When she gets close enough, the granny kicks the baby so hard, launching it into the air. But perhaps the most shocking and traumatizing part is the granny's reaction. She celebrates the feat just as you would if you scored in a game of football or soccer, for my American viewers. The video represents a broader trend of darker, edgy internet humor that was prevalent during the early 2000s and 2010s. This humor often exposed children to content far outside age-appropriate boundaries. Courage, the Cowardly Dog, you're not perfect. We can all agree that Courage the Cowardly Dog was the creepiest Cartoon Network show that we grew up watching. In fact, it was so creepy that it actually disturbed adults too. Anyway, if you've never watched Courage the Cowardly Dog, it's basically a show featuring Courage, a scared little dog who lives with an elderly couple in a place called the middle of nowhere. Courage's life is anything but peaceful as he spends his days battling creepy entities that haunt their home to protect his owners. Now, You're Not Perfect is a particular disturbing scene from the final episode of the series, titled Perfect, which came out in 2000. You're Not Perfect starts with Courage feeling insecure after making some mistakes and being called a disappointment by his owner's husband, Eustace. Slowly, he becomes convinced he's not good enough, and his insecurity manifests as a scary, cruel schoolteacher known only as the Perfectionist. This character, who only Courage can see, subjects Courage to a series of bizarre lessons to teach him how to be perfect. Soon enough, Courage's anxiety reaches a breaking point and he begins to experience a series of unsettling dreams, the most disturbing of which is what looks like a distorted and nightmarish fetus that whispers to him in the most unnerving voice, "You're not perfect." Even though the episode ends with an uplifting note with Courage accepting his flaws, it's nonetheless disturbing and remains one of the most memorable episodes of the series for just how unsettling it was for children battling real-life internal struggles with self-worth. Smile Dog. Very few images have spooked me, even as an adult, as much as Smile.jpg, aka Smile Dog. Smile Dog is a creepypasta legend that has been on the internet for as long as I can remember. You could say it has been there since the very beginning, which honestly just adds to the eeriness of this image. There are different recreations of the Smile Dog today. However, the original image depicts a dog-like creature, presumably a Siberian husky, sitting in a dark room with its face illuminated by a camera flash. Most versions of the image also show what looks like a human hand on the left side of the dog. The creepy part about the photo is the dog's mouth, which is stretched out in a very unnatural smile with equally unnatural white human-like teeth. The eyes, which are seemingly glowing, only add to the uneasiness the image gives you. So what's the story behind Smile Dog? Is the image even real? According to the Creepypasta legend, Smile.jpg is a haunted image, which, if viewed, supposedly causes severe psychological effects like seizures, nightmares, hallucinations, and even persistent visions of the image in the viewer's mind. To escape the curse, victims of Smile Dog must share the image with others. If they refuse to share the image, Smile Dog will appear to them in person, driving them insane, unaliving them, or dragging them to hell. Yikes. That said, the precise origin as well as the image creator are unknown, which help honestly deepen the mystery. However, what we know is that the image and story first gained traction on the X Paranormal board on 4chan around 2008, before quickly spreading onto other platforms. Now, while the origins of the image are unknown, it's been proven that the photograph is heavily photoshopped, which basically means it's not real. At least not the scary version that terrified us as kids. Next, I'm going to talk about SpongeBob is Evil. As a Gen Z, you can stomach this today. But trust me, if you came across this video when it was uploaded in 2007, you'd definitely be creeped out. Playing with the idea of a sinister SpongeBob, the video opens with a disturbing intro before an adult male gives a mock warning of an, quote, evil SpongeBob running around. Immediately after the warning, a young boy comes to view, dismissing the idea of an evil SpongeBob's existence. However, shortly after his dismissal, we see an evil SpongeBob pinata peeping from behind a steel-like pillar. Realizing the adult was right all along, the young boy runs, attempting to escape from the evil character. Unfortunately, he falls to the ground and is then attacked by evil SpongeBob. A young girl then enters the frame and goes to check on the seemingly unalived young boy, who it immediately turns out is her brother. We learned this, albeit after enduring some trouble, because we have to make the word brother from a distorted voice. The video then cuts to a flashback and we see the young boy hitting the piñata. Finally, the credits roll and we get formally introduced to everyone involved in creating the bizarre video. Meanwhile, Skilo's I Wish plays in the background. This video is definitely not a horror short or creepypasta, but more of a tongue-in-cheek parody. Still, the combination of the evil SpongeBob rumor, chaotic ending, and unexpected content was jarring for a lot of Gen Z viewers who stumbled upon it as young people. Vicious 516 is the next video I'm talking about. Commencing its YouTube journey 18 years ago, oh my god, Vicious 516's videos aligned with the mid-2000s creepypasta boom. Many Gen Zs still associate it with their formative, unsettling online experiences. Run by creator Ryan Murphy, this channel focuses on 3 things. First is creepypasta adaptations, which are basically short horror stories that were made into movies. Some popular examples include The Medford Manor, The Rabbits, and Storm Man. The channel also focused on the famous Slender Man, the first entry on the subject uploaded over 14 years ago. Third, Ryan sometimes held contests and worked with other creators, helping to build a community around spooky internet stories. Vicious 516's videos often used a found footage look, which made the stories feel real even though they were fake. However, if you're looking for loud scares, well, you won't find them on this channel. Instead of using a lot of loud scares, Ryan focused on building a spooky atmosphere. This slow, intense feeling is guaranteed to keep you on the edge and also leave a lasting impression. Okay, next I'm going to, and by the way, the reason, guys, that I'm being so explicit about, like, whenever I change topics is because I get a lot of comments that are like, I guess people, like, can't tell whenever I switch topics or something. They're like, oh dude, I thought you were talking about the last one, like 5 minutes into the next one. So that's why I'm being very clear. I'm trying to, you know, I listen to my audience, guys. I listen to you. I try to be better, you know? So I'm doing what you guys say, you know? So next we're talking about missing Anthony and Ian. When Gen Z came across this video years ago as young kids, one thing was for certain. Something bad had happened to these 2 successful YouTube comedians. Released on June 1st, 2012, the video features Anthony Padilla and Ian Heckox, the original creators of Smosh, who mysteriously disappear while filming an episode of Lunchtime with Smosh. The video starts when Anthony and Ian find a free food coupon on their doorstep. The duo decides to drive to the restaurant, but their trip is nothing close to normal. They pass through a cemetery, drive backwards, and joke about the danger. Finally, they arrive at a creepy, broken down building with an iron fence and an even creepier waiter. They ignore the signs regardless and head into the restaurant where things get even weirder. The menu shows strange prices like $19 mushroom pie, and the waiter tells them that only the pie is available despite the menu having a burger as well. With the creepiness now at a fever pitch, Ian tries to call the police. Suddenly, a man shouts, "This is the police," and the duo rushes in the direction of his voice. However, when they reach the man, Anthony and Ian are shocked to see that it's the same creepy waiter they met earlier. The waiter has actually been swiftly changing roles the whole time, being a waiter, a chef, and now a cop. Anthony and Ian run through the building, but in the end, the waiter captures them. Soon, the waiter takes over their bodies, and now Anthony and Ian are just like him. These new versions also jokingly rate their experience as 15 dead ponies out of 15. But perhaps the most unsettling part is what happens after that. The waiter appears again and tells viewers to click a link to see, quote, "what else I did to him." While the video looks like a horror story, it is completely fake and made for fun. And though they might deny it, a lot of Gen Zs are scarred by this one. Besides its eerie found footage style, the video unexpectedly played with themes of disappearance and danger, which undoubtedly unsettled younger viewers at the time. Katie's scary face is the next thing I'm talking about. I'd rank Katie's scary face up there with Smile Dog because of how eerie the two are, and the fact that they both have little to no context. Katie's scary face is one of the earliest scary videos I've come across on YouTube, having been uploaded in August of 2007. That makes it almost 18 years old today. Now on to the actual video. It is only 20 seconds long and starts off with a woman following the camera, which is moving slowly before it stops right in front of her. Suddenly she opens her mouth as if trying to scream, and her face turns really scary. The mouth is wider than normal, her teeth sharp like that of an animal, and her skin, well, let's just say you wouldn't want to see that in your dreams. Almost as quickly as her face turns scary, she goes back to normal and the video ends. To be fair, the video description does admit that it's an edit, although you could pretty much tell that it was, and a pretty good one at that for the time. However, you have to put yourself in the shoes of a kid stumbling upon this video back in the 2000s when they should have been doing their homework instead of scouring the dark corners of YouTube. I particularly found the lack of background music quite unsettling too. Makes it feel more real and unsettling. Next, I'm talking about the sneeze, how germs are Spread.flv. If you're already a germaphobe, this video is going to terrify you almost as much as it terrified me as a kid. I was traumatized to touch anything I'd seen someone touch for like a week, but especially doorknobs. Anyway, the sneeze How Germs Are Spread is a low-budget, poor-quality CGI educational VHS animation created in 1996 as a way of teaching children about the transmission of germs, particularly through sneezing. In fact, the video, which was created by Frank Chu as part of the Viruses and Bacteria, the Story of the Warm Wet Spots educational series hosted by Ruby Unger, was more commonly shown in schools across the country in the late 1990s and early 2000s as a way of promoting good hygiene habits among school-going kids. Today, you can find it on YouTube, where it has become somewhat of a beloved classic. Now, the video is about 4.5 minutes long, and it starts with a written message about germs in what reads like a song or poem. Nothing too weird, at least not yet. Then the video cuts to a green-colored germ in someone's mouth, which multiplies rapidly into several germs. It is from this point where the person is about to sneeze that the video takes a disgusting and terrifying turn. The disgusting germ spread from the guy's hand to the doorknob and to a woman's hand and onto some donuts. The woman with the germ-filled hands makes sure to touch each donut before making up her mind, thereby spreading the little disgusting creatures onto every one of them. And as if that wasn't disgusting enough, she proceeds to lick her germ-filled fingers, therefore transferring the creatures into her mouth. Finally realizing that her hands weren't clean in the first place, the woman proceeds to the bathroom to wash them, but not without spreading the germs onto another doorknob. And the germ-filled donuts she left behind, well, let's just say they weren't thrown away. You could pretty much see why this gloomy video was horrifying for kids of the time. I mean, even I wouldn't watch it voluntarily ever again. On the bright side, it no doubt forced a lot of younger kids to wash their hands, therefore keeping common diseases like the flu at bay, which was the whole point, so that's good. Alright, now I'm talking about Nightmare Wolf. Released in 2014, Tony Krynight's Nightmare Wolf became known for its creepy and unsettling animation. In fact, many Gen Zs remember it with a mix of fear and nostalgia because of its strange style and disturbing moments. The animation tells the story of a white she-wolf who seems trapped in a nightmare. She runs through a dark forest surrounded by sudden flashes of disturbing and surreal images. I feel Krynight intentionally uses these confusing and intense visuals to create a sense of fear and discomfort, getting you to worry about the wolf's fate. However, the most shocking part comes when another wolf appears and twists its neck unnaturally, revealing a distorted and frightening face. I've read through countless comments in the video and they all say one thing. This very moment was especially scary for them as young viewers. I mean, let's be honest, that definitely got you, didn't it? Anyway, the animation uses a minimalist flash animation style with sharp cuts and strange effects. While there's no clear plot, it only adds to the video's dreamlike and nightmarish feeling. Tony Krynigt also clarified that the video was made as a Halloween-themed project meant to feel creepy and chaotic rather than tell a full story. The video ends with the song Nightmare by Avenged Sevenfold, which adds to the intense and horror-like mood. Jaci Goo is the next thing I'm talking about. So Jaci Goo is a short and chaotic video that does not follow a normal story or plot. Instead, it is made in a style similar to YouTube Poop, which means it uses random clips, loud sounds, and fast, strange edits to confuse or shock the viewer. Uploaded to YouTube on June 2nd, 2009 by user DaWordDa, this video style is similar to early YouTube screamer videos which aim to surprise or scare people through chaos and jump scares. The actual video features Justin Simbidis, a person with progeria who randomly appears on the screen. Progeria is a rare genetic disorder that causes children to age rapidly, which explains his appearance in the video. Simbidis yells loudly into the camera while the video flashes with distorted visuals and sudden noises. The editing is quick and rough with no clear meaning or message, and because of this, the video works more like a screamer. It tries to scare or disturb people using noise and chaos rather than a spooky story. I found out that Symbidus is still active online and runs a YouTube channel under his real name where he shares content about pop culture and music. However, this particular video is not part of his official work. It is most likely a fan-made or remix style video that uses a clip of him in a way that some viewers find disturbing. And next, I'm going to talk about KEPKW. KEPKW is one of those YouTube videos that will have you questioning what you just watched at the end of the 27 seconds. Even though the video is super short, its creepy atmosphere starts right from the moment you click on the video and builds up to the end. So the video begins with a blurry shot of a face. While you can't make out the facial features like the eyes and the mouth, what you can see is enough to tell you what you're looking at is a distorted human head. The image is accompanied by equally unsettling, distorted noises, which I have to admit contribute to the video's eerie atmosphere. As the video progresses, the face seems to draw nearer and nearer, and at some point, the mouth seems to be moving, which I want to assume is talking, although we don't hear what the figure is saying, only the loud, distorted noises. And just when you think something is about to happen, the video fades to black and continues on for a couple more seconds with the background noise. The video alone is unsettling as it is, however, it's the creepypasta legend behind it that actually makes it truly unsettling. The legend of KEPKW goes back to August 2014 when a user only identified as Wire posted a video titled Cursed YouTube Video WPKW Real Story. They would additionally claim that if you searched for WPKW on YouTube, you'd either stumble upon that video or get a no results response. As if that wasn't spooky enough, the user went on to suggest that the video was cursed and it caused some adverse effects like nausea. Perhaps even more unnerving is an alternative legend that the video is actually footage of a man right before dying on camera. However, like the more popular legend, this theory is not true. All in all, while WPKW could very well be a clever trick, it falls into the now obscure category of unexplained horror videos, which became popular not only for their unsettling nature, but the lack of explanation or backstory, which left viewers freaked out and confused. Next, I'm going to talk about Banjo Gyro. This one's fucking crazy. So, if you combine poorly made 2000 CGI with a horrifying plotline, you would get Banjo Gyro. This surreal YouTube video, which is almost 12 minutes long, follows 3 animated teen characters, Sammy, Bill, and Finger, who together form the Teammates. The 3 characters work in a fast food joint called The Griddle, which is run by Mr. Robert, who I would describe as a drunk who doesn't really run anything. It is in this restaurant that the trio encounter a dark demonic force that does strange things like pee on the bathroom floor, but honestly, I do that most mornings, so it's totally fine. The story can best be described as truly absurd with some humor here and there, and by absurd, I mean it doesn't really go anywhere and it only serves to really creep you out. The video itself is crude with a glitchy, lo-fi aesthetic that only adds to the nightmarish vibe that's already there. Unlike other animations I have featured in this and in previous videos, Banjo Gyro isn't actually from any TV show or series, but rather it was made independently by Grady Train Sane, who then uploaded it to a now defunct site sometime in 2000. While you can't find the site today, the video was re-uploaded to this channel on YouTube back in 2013 and has so far gained over 400,000 views, which I presume is largely made up of kids, since it's animation after all. From the poor graphics and voice acting to weird movements of the characters and the surreal background music, Banjo Gyro is one of those videos that would mess me up as a kid with little exposure to retro horror. Despite its cheap, nonsensical plot, the video was actually developed a sort of cult following for its bizarreness and dark humor. Next, I'm going to talk about the humanoid creature in a Romanian zoo. Zoos are typically fun places where you get to see animals you would otherwise never encounter in your life. I loved the zoo so much as a kid that if I knew I was going tomorrow, I couldn't sleep the night before. I also say as a kid kind of lightly because I'm only 18. So this low quality video seemingly showing a creepy human-like creature would have freaked me out so much back then. The video itself begins with a backpacker who's recording himself on his phone, and he goes on to say that he is in a crappy zoo in Onesti, Romania, where a creature is caged. Then he proceeds to walk towards what I think is the cage so he can show us the creature. Now, there isn't much context to this video, except for the short explanation that the guy gives us at the beginning. So no one really knows if the humanoid creature is real or not. However, the more I tried to investigate, the creepier the rabbit hole became. For one, it looks like the zoo the guy is filming himself in is actually a real zoo in Onesti, Romania. At least it was, as it was apparently closed to the public back in 2007 because of, quote, not following EU norms. Some people claim that the zoo was closed down because it kept animals in very poor conditions. It was later reopened in 2015, assumably having cleaned up whatever it is that made it close 8 years earlier. But we know that the video predates its opening, as we can see here that it was uploaded in May of 2014. So it was likely shot before or in 2007. You can even tell from the video's quality that it was taken with an iPhone from an earlier time, probably the first iPhone released in June of 2007. This little detail makes you wonder, did the video actually contribute to the zoo's closing down? If so, what is that humanoid creature, and why was it there in the first place? On the other hand, it's probably just a fucking Halloween prank, but we might never know. Okay, next I'm talking about the bloody door. Imagine you're watching something creepy and before you know it, you suddenly feel like your head is on fire and you die a painful death. Scary, right? This is what a lot of kids in the 2000s believed would happen to them if they watched Bloody Door, a YouTube video uploaded on a YouTube channel of the same name in October 2008, or the short film of the same name that was released a short while later. The original video opens in a semi-dark room, only lighted with candles beside a bloody white door. As the suspense builds up, the door slowly opens itself, revealing a dark room. Then, as the creepy background music gets louder, the lights in the room suddenly go on, and we see a man with a baby cot in front of him. He slowly lifts his hands up from the cot, and we see blood all over them. In a bizarre twist, the mysterious man smears the blood off all over his face amid eerie laughs in the background. Between the blood, the bizarre background noises, the weird camera angles, and the cursed legend behind the video, the Bloody Door was without a doubt one of the most terrifying things you could come across as a kid. And the weird short film, which tells the story of a YouTuber and online hater who was sucked into the video and doomed to stay there for eternity, makes this even more nightmarish. Now, I'll admit, in today's standards, the videos are pretty bad and almost cringe. But back then, when most videos looked like all of these, the Bloody Door freaked a lot of kids out and kept them up at night. And that goes for all of these, we're coming to the end of this video, and all of these, they were really creepy for the time, Thank you for watching, guys. Have a great night, and sweet dreams.